Justice League, into action.
And thus, the legend would endure that while Marvel may rule the movie theaters, DC was still the king in the world of animation. And, you want to see the opening, don't you? Okay. Just for this week, this is DC-cember. Greetings, fanboys and fangirls, I'm Erod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. Yes, the DC animated movie reviews are back by popular demand. Now, before I get going, I just want to quickly go over the rules. Just to be clear, this video is only covering the direct-to-DVD DC animated movies that came out in 2014. If you want to hear my thoughts and opinions about the DC animated movies that came out before 2014, I defer you to last year's video. Secondly, I will not be covering any movies that are intended to be tie-ins to the DC animated shows, for reasons that I have already explained in my last video. I will also not be covering motion comics. Don't really see the point in those. Why don't you just read the comic? And I will also not be covering any of the Lego bullshit, as those aren't actually movies but glorified toy commercials. And last but not least, because these films are so short, most are approximately an hour or just over an hour long, I will not be spending a great deal of time talking about each, as I could potentially spoil the movies for those of you who haven't seen them yet. So when I say that these reviews you're about to hear are going to be rapid fire, I do mean rapid fire. Alright, now that that's settled, let's jump right into it with the first release of the year. Justice League War. Now, I don't want there to be any misconceptions about my feelings about this movie, so I will say this as plainly as I can. I fucking hate this movie! It is extremely rare that I truly detest the films that I talk about in my videos, but this is one of those major exceptions. God, where do I begin? So this movie is an adaptation of the Justice League's first team-up according to the New 52 universe. And if the purpose of this film was to make DC's New 52 line look appealing, they fucking failed. I get that these are supposed to be new interpretations of these characters, but could they at least try and make them appealing? The only two Leaguers that are somewhat tolerable are the Flash and Cyborg. The rest I would gladly load into a rocket and send to Planet Hulk. Billy Batson is a lying, cheating, thieving little punk who would never in a million years be worthy of the power of Shazam.
Awesome game today. Superstar QB Victory Stone brings in the win single-handedly.
Hey, where's my son of a...
Yes!
Batman is a know-it-all douche-face who seems to be miraculously familiar with the procedures of an alien invasion, even though he's nothing more than a street vigilante in a silly costume.
Freaking kidding me? What? Nobody asked you to prom, so now you dress as a bat and prowl around your parents' basement?
What's this do?
Huh?
No buttons. I assume it works off concentration.
How'd you do that?
Wonder Woman is a barbaric moron who's not qualified to be the ambassador of an outhouse.
I will try some ice cream. And another for my friend Hannah.
Well, whatever you say, lady.
Superman is the most emotionally detached and cold I've seen him since. But the absolute worst, the one that takes the cake, the one that no one can deny was misrepresented here, is Green Lantern. Hal is a fucking tool.
Here's the plan. Green Lantern kicks Superman's ass, TMZ's got the video.
Green Lantern is an intergalactic police officer specializing in extraterrestrial law, apprehension, and any threats that said aliens may pose to the citizens of his sector. And whatever Hal doesn't know, he can access from his ring's massive database. Now let's watch our resident alien expert handle a potentially explosive alien weapon.
You're paranoid. Let's just crack it open and see what happens. Hey!
Without any idea what's inside. That's idiotic.
Gee, I'm so glad the Corps recruited him. I feel so safe. Hey, you want to see my favorite part of this movie? Are you ready for this? The forces of Apocalypse invade the planet. Darkseid, one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe, the tyrannical dictator of Apocalypse, who sits on high on a throne where he is considered to be a god, who would never sully himself with the affairs of us pathetic mortal ants, is flying around the city, randomly destroying things like he's Godzilla or some shit. I don't know what's more insulting, Darkseid behaving like a little kid with a magnifying glass, or the Justice League strategizing how to defeat him like they're a bunch of inexperienced dumbass teenagers.
Yeah, baby! Clap it up!
Ugh. Guys, this is pretty much everything that I fear will happen in the live-action movie version that Warner Brothers is planning. The perfect representation of the Hollywood bastardization of my favorite superheroes. If I busted straight to video movies, this would be at the top of my list. 1 point on the badassitude meter, and that point is pretty much entirely dedicated to the animation.
Cool. Watch this. Hey, Blackheart the Death Eater, or whatever your World of Warcraft name is, suck on this!
Son of Batman. DC Animated's second outing this year was an adaptation of Grant Morrison's Batman story arc, in which old Bats finds out that he has a bastard child with Talia al Ghul, named Damian. When Deathstroke leads a very hostile takeover of Ra's al Ghul's League of Shadows, Damian seeks out his estranged father to help him save his mother and take back the League. This movie is not bad, but it's not great either. It has two major flaws. Deathstroke is pretty damn lame in this movie. He comes off as a dumb, muscle-headed bully, a talentless thug who couldn't make it in the military, so he became a mercenary instead. And to add insult to injury, he takes over the League of Shadows pretty easily. It's the League of Shadows, ran by Ra's al Ghul, one of the most powerful supervillains in the DC universe. And he was defeated by a bunch of jocks with guns? Again, lame. And then there's the other thing. Appropriately enough, most of the movie focuses on Damian, which is understandable since this movie is called Son of Batman. But here's the thing. The only character worse than Deathstroke in this movie is Damian.
Watch yourself, Pennyworth. I'm not so young that I don't understand sarcasm.
What an insufferable little prick. You wait the whole movie for someone to teach him a lesson and put him in his place, but the moment never comes. The closest we get is when he picks a fight with Nightwing, and right when you think this little bastard is gonna get the ass kicking he deserves, they cut away! Really? During the final battle between him and Deathstroke, I didn't know who to root for. I was pretty much hoping they would take each other out. I give it a 5. I only recommend this to hardcore Batman fans.
This was yours?
Still is. Keep your hands off it, kid.
Is this what you wore in training?
It's what I wore when I went on patrol.
The only thing it's missing is lace trim and a sun hat.
You don't fool me. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking you could be Robin. Well, you can't.
I don't need some insipid costume and a bird name. I'm way beyond your kind of simplistic training, as you saw tonight.
Don't forget, you lost that fight.
And speaking of the Caped Crusader, this past year marked the 75th anniversary of Batman, and to mark the occasion, DC Animated released 2 animated shorts commemorating this landmark. The first, Strange Days by Bruce Timm, showcases the one version of Batman not to be immortalized in animation, the original 1939 version. You may notice some subtle differences between this Batman and his modern counterpart. yeah. The second animated short by Darwin Cook revisits one of the most popular DC animated shows of all time, Batman Beyond, as we see Terry McGinnis and Old Bruce take on an army of robotic Batman in the Batcave. My only complaint about this one is that right when it gets good, it ends. More like these, please. Anyway, the shorts are available on YouTube, so check them out if you get the chance.
It isn't human. Destroy it!
JLA Adventures Trapped in Time. This is one that nearly eluded everyone's radar, and I personally never would have known about it if I wouldn't have been visiting DC's website earlier this year. For the longest time, I was very confused as to why DC Animated made this film and why its release was so secretive. Well, here's the backstory. As it turns out, DC's Toys and Merchandise division struck a deal with Target to release a series of Justice League toys that would exclusively be sold at Target stores. And if the 80s taught us anything, is that the success of a toy line is solely dependent on having an animated show to promote it. The problem was that there was no Justice League animated show on the air at the time, and the only Justice League animated DVD release at that very moment was, not for kids. Target requested that a more child-friendly straight-to-DVD animated film be made to promote the toys. This DVD, of course, would be sold exclusively at Target, hence the reason why most people didn't hear about it. And thus, JLA Adventures was born. A lot of people expected me to hate this because it's basically Super Friends with a bigger budget. But to be perfectly honest, I love this movie. Yes, it's Super Friends, but it's Super Friends done right. Remember during my Batman the Brave and the Bold honest review last year when I complained that they never did a Justice League episode on that show? Well, this movie is very much an answer to that complaint, as it also works as a possible lost episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold. Hell, they even got Diedrich Bader to come back and play Batman again.
You'll help by staying put.
And Batman and Robin's relationship in this movie matches their relationship in Brave and the Bold perfectly.
I told you to stay in the Batwing.
What? I was trying to help.
You almost got yourself killed. How does that help?
Now before I talk about the actual movie, please let me explain why I was so eager to see something that was essentially supposed to be just another toy commercial. You see, my interest in this animated anomaly peaked when I found out that it was directed by none other than Giancarlo Volpe. Now for those of you who don't know, Giancarlo directed a lot of the episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and he served as the executive producer of Green Lantern the Animated Series. Suffice it to say, he has racked up a lot of impressive animation credits in a very short amount of time. So, fresh off of his way too short Green Lantern run, Giancarlo was tasked with making this movie, and he met the challenge with flying colors, pulling resources from his past animation jobs, especially when it comes to the casting. We have Jack DeSena, who played Sokka on Avatar, playing Robin, Dante Basco, aka Prince Zuko, playing Karate Kid, and almost the entire cast of Green Lantern was reunited here. We have Kevin Michael Richardson as Black Manta and Solomon Grundy, Jason Spisak as The Flash, and Grey DeLisle as Wonder Woman. The only one missing was Green Lantern himself, Josh Keaton. But his absence is understandable, since Green Lantern is noticeably absent in this movie, which would normally bother me since he is my favorite character. But there are so many great characters in this, so I can totally understand giving Green Lantern the day off to make room for this enormous cast. So personally, I just can't complain. The movie sees Lex Luthor, played by the great Fred Tatasciore, be frozen in ice during a climactic battle between the Justice League and the Legion of Doom. He is thought out in the far future, where using documented information about Superman's life and a time travel relic, he plans to go back in time and erase Superman and the Justice League from history. Luckily, two of the members from the Legion of Superheroes, Dawnstar and Karate Kid, follow him in an effort to warn the League and stop the villain. Only two things puzzle me about this film. Number one, why isn't this a TV show? Because I would watch it every day. Great cast, great writing, great animation, great action sequences, one of which is Robin vs. Karate Kid, a major highlight. And number 2, the character design is fantastic. All the characters look great, but the toys that this movie's supposed to promote look like this. Yeah. Maybe next time they should let the designers from the movie design the toys. Just saying. Anyway, while this might be similar in tone and concept to Super Friends, the characters were all represented correctly. And this serves as another great outing for the world's greatest superheroes. 10 points on the Badassitude meter! If you like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Batman the Brave and the Bold, or Green Lantern the Animated Series, give it a watch.
Justice League, into action. Flash, Aquaman, get those controls away from Lex. Cyborg, Batman, and Robin with me.
And thus, we come to the final DC animated film released this year.
Batman: Assault on Arkham.
I have to say that after those first 2 movies, Assault on Arkham is like your boyfriend bringing you flowers after forgetting your anniversary. A very much welcomed apology. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if they made an R-rated episode of Batman the Animated Series? Well, wonder no more, cause this ain't your daddy's Batman cartoon. Based on the Arkham video games, the movie follows 2 simultaneous plot lines. We have Batman, voiced once again by Kevin Conroy, on a race against time, as the Joker hid a dirty bomb somewhere in Gotham, and Batman has only a matter of hours to find it and defuse it. At the same time, Amanda Waller, voiced once again by CCH Pounder, has reassembled the Suicide Squad, a bunch of supervillains on parole who have to do jobs for the government. She needs the squad to break into Arkham Asylum to recover a secret item on her behalf. My God, this movie's awesome! At this very moment, Warner Brothers is planning a Suicide Squad movie, and I sure do hope they have something big in store, because this movie set the bar pretty high. One of my very few minor concerns when I sat down to watch this was that the current official voice of Harley Quinn, Tara Strong, wasn't voicing Harley in this. Instead, they got her Teen Titans co-star Hynden Walsh. But my concerns were put to rest very quickly, as Hynden did a spectacular job bringing my favorite psychotic clown girl to life.
The warden uses his birthday backwards for practically all of his passwords.
How do you know that?
I used to work here. Didn't I mention that?
Come on! As what?
As a psychiatrist, silly! And pal, anyone who throws boomerangs has some real issues letting go.
Another performer who deserves major props is Troy Baker as the Joker.
Oh, I can tell you're still sore. At least the bruise is cleared up nicely.
Holy shit! Now that is a worthy replacement to Mark Hamill. All in all, if you prefer more mature stories that don't baby the audience, then this is definitely the movie for you. 10 points on the Badassitude meter! Gather your squad, put the kids to bed, and give it a watch.
Firefly, Killer Moth, Maxi Zeus. Never heard of any of these tools.
So that concludes another year's worth of DC animated movies. Yup, after I spent all that time last year complaining about their lack of variety and how they only seem to make Batman and Justice League movies, this year they made 2 Batman and 2 Justice League movies. Huh. Anywho. To answer one of my most frequent questions from this past year, yes, I do plan to make the DC animated reviews a yearly tradition. And yes, even though I didn't enjoy Justice League War, I will give its upcoming sequel, Justice League Throne of Atlantis, a chance. To be perfectly honest, its trailers look a lot more promising than its prequel, as the story will focus more on one of my favorite characters, Aquaman. And the casting is far superior to Justice League War, with Rosario Dawson playing Wonder Woman and my favorite Green Lantern, Nathan Fillion, playing the Emerald Crusader one more time. Hopefully next year will exhibit more variety than this one. With the rise in popularity of characters like Green Arrow, Flash, and Constantine, hopefully it won't be too long before we see them take center stage in a DC animated movie.
Say dirtbag.
Ghosts!